right, everyone. Welcome back to Hot Takes with Boss, and I'm Lawrence Henderson. And today I have the awesome pleasure of hanging out with a guy, as you can see by his photo, Mr. Michael Ray, who is not just energy and motivation, but that's a lifestyle for him. And so I'm so pumped to ask him questions about what he has going on. And I'm so excited for him to impart wisdom that I believe is going to change the way you do things on a daily basis. So Michael, please introduce yourself to this audience.
What's up, man? Good morning. Thank you for having me. I really look forward, after we talked last week, being with you and maybe changing people's perspectives on how beautiful a smile is.
Man. So when we talk about introducing people to the Smile Project, like where did it come from?
So for me, as a lot of people in life, it's a journey. It's how we can evolve if we choose in our minds to evolve. So, I tell people we face so many challenges at times and we smile because life is hard and not easy. And for me, it was a series of circumstances and challenges in life, but yet what was really always present for me in my life was my daughter, Maddie. She's 21. She has Down syndrome. You're going to have to deal with the allergies in the Ohio Valley here. So
it's all good.
But she, as a father, you always want to hear those words from your child. Obviously, we have a tendency to hear it more when they're younger, and when they're teenagers, they don't say, I love you as much. But, you take for granted, you hear those words. Yeah. And yet my daughter has never uttered those three simple words. I love you to me. But, through the grace of God, she has shown me her love through her smile. So, as you go through those challenges in life, and we have bad days and bad moments, what was always present, was the love of her smile. Wow. So it really, for me, was taking that and realizing as we go through our daily lives, we encounter, obviously when things are a little bit more normal, more strangers, than, so, whether you're at the grocery store or, going through the drive-through the gas station, and sometimes just those very simple interactions with strangers can really be infectious and change our lives. So for me, in that moment, it was, rolling through a Wendy's drive-through. And, we again, it's something we always do and we take for granted, but not realizing the person on the other side that in that, very short 45-second or so interaction really truly changed my morning. And it changed it enough to where, look, if you, God wants to speak to you, but yet we don't always listen. But in that moment, I had a moment where God was talking to me and I pulled over and actually I broke down. And I was like, God, what are you trying to tell me? So for me in that moment, it was understanding what had just happened in that drive-through was so uplifting that, and I laugh about it now, but I was the creepy dude who got out of the car and waited for a couple cars to pass through and walked back up to the drive-through. And of course, their natural reaction is, sir, what's wrong? I was like, that's what's beautiful. It's not, what's wrong. It's what is right. And I just felt compelled enough to say, thank you. Thank you for what you meant to me in that moment. I asked to take a picture with her to remember it and did. And then as I had a couple of days to reflect on that, I was like, you know what? I need that much social interaction and smiles in my life like my daughter has given me. So I started going around the city, just taking pictures with strangers, no matter what the moment may be. And really for me, it's not that it has changed, but it was really telling people I'm just trying to spread love and change attitudes and behaviors by smiling with strangers.
Man.
And then of course, it's, and I talked about evolving earlier, it's evolved into so much more. I don't take as many pictures, but yet the level and ability to inspire and impact lives has gone through random acts of kindness. And being the reason why people smile and just the relationship and interaction with my daughter.
Yeah, that's huge, man, because it breaks it down to you're not just waiting for yourself to create a list of things that you want to take action on. It's just the intentionality of, you know what act of kindness can I provide for somebody today? Or how can I be a smile for somebody? And I think just that action of your daughter expressing what love means to her, like, to me, that's the powerful part, right? And you going back and them like, what's wrong, sir? Like, because again, that's people's normal reaction.
It's
like,
a very natural reaction.
What did I do? What did I do? Like, no, thank you. Like, I wanted to say thank you. And I think in this time that we're in, I don't know about you, but I've been seeing a whole lot more grace being extended in our communities. And it's really around, look, we all know we're going through this at the same time. We've never been here before. And how dare I, even remotely think that you know what to do. So here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to be the best version of me. I'm going to extend you a smile. I'm going to extend you some grace. And guess what? And it starts coming back to us and it begins to multiply itself. And so I would ask you, from that standpoint, what type of leadership characteristics are you displaying when you choose this way of life?
Well, you know what? I think a lot of it starts with the mindset, and it's really inspiring people to get the best out of themselves, is that you want to see them be, it's the simplicity of more awesome, greater, finding the right mindset, because a lot of people, and I occasionally talk about too, have a lack of self-love. Wow. It's not that any of us are any better than each other, but I love me. I look at a lot of times in the mirror, and I have these, fleeting moments where I'm a little down. I look in the mirror and I'm just like, dude, you're awesome, man. So I think for me as a leader, it's the leader, it's the old saying, you're not a manager, you're a leader. So when you're working and really trying to be involved and get the most from people, you do it by, you don't tell the 6 people that have to dig a ditch. You be the 7th, you dig it with them. You get in the trenches and work because you want to see the best from everyone. So as I, through the simplicity of doing random acts of kindness and making people smile, I want to get them to a place where they can feel what I feel. I talk about simple things like don't chase happiness. It's generally right there in your life. Just go be with it. So no matter where you are from a leadership perspective, it's really just trying to get the most from the talent that you have, and it was probably no better way shown, as much as it was with Michael Jordan. Even though he was hard, he pushed his teammates really to inspire them. I think it was, and sometimes that's the way tough love is with parents. They're really trying to pull the best out of you, man. And that's what MJ was trying to do, was really get maximum effort and love from his teammates.
And I think it came down to, as well, if we're going to go from that team concept, there was a point when his brain and Phil Jackson made a shift in what team means and what team can do when everybody's bought in, right? And it was such a powerful thing because, again, he was still a 30 guy. He was still scoring 40. He was still went in those times when he needed to get in the ditch and be a model for everybody else, because it got them to believe, like, you know what, at the end of the day, we got Mike. And so we just need to show up and do our part. And we know, even if we catch it in practice, we know he has our back. And we know he's going to show up every single time. And I think that's, and my pastor, my friend, Vinny says it like this: in this season, we're going to see leaders step up, step back, or step out. And I really believe the leaders who are stepping up are the people who it's a deep character that is coming up for them, and the cream is rising to the top.
Yeah.
And what we're being our pillars, or we're being that person that's going to push people to want the best out of them. And I'm this person where I lead from, I'm going to win, and I hope you want to win too. Like, they're like, I'm going to win. Like,
I hope you have the same desires.
I hope you have the same desire. And it came out in that documentary, right? He was like, look, and he got emotional. He was like, that's the way I play. And I'm thinking to myself, like, that's the way I play. Like, he's like, I'm going to win. And like, God gave me these shoulders for a reason. Like, I hope if you need to strap on, let's strap on, because I'm going to win. And so I think for us in the Smile Project, like, there was something Brene Brown always talks about again, is courage, but then also the opportunity to engage vulnerability. And though they don't live separate from each other, they're the same thing. And it takes courage to be vulnerable. And I think the things that you've described around your daughter, and then you showing the random acts of kindness, there's a vulnerability in extending yourself, because I'm sure you've encountered people having various reactions to those random acts of kindness.
You know what it is? And when I've done enough of them now, and I say enough, I don't know, give or take somewhere around 100, I don't go into that situation thinking that I have to have a desired reaction.
Yeah.
It's putting in the effort, the work to really, again, to inspire and impact lives through what moves, and probably one of the greatest, I get a number of compliments, but one of the greatest ones that I truly do get is that, man, you lead with your heart. And I do. So when I put myself in those situations, regardless of the circumstances that I'm doing, I don't care how the reaction is, whether they laugh, cry, smile, hug, it's in that moment, and some people, look, they're 100% random. They don't know. They're total strangers. They don't know I'm showing up, that I'm doing it. So look, we all react differently as human beings, and that's okay. But just be in the moment. And, sometimes too, it's amazing. And I talked about this earlier, in that I needed that social interaction as much. And sometimes, when it is that emotional, it doesn't hit me until after I leave, and I'm gone from, kind of the scene. And I have to kind of decompress because somebody broke down and just cried. In that moment, that somebody can care enough, and it's not singular. It's not only me, but in some cases, people are reaching out to me and going, this teacher's battling stage 4 ovarian cancer. She's, got kids that are 9, 10-year-olds in her class, and she goes to school and teaches every day. And she's insanely positive, even though she's battling for her life, and she's 28 years old, and then you're in that moment. It's sometimes, I've broken down in the moment, and then I've also left. Yeah. And it's a lot to take in, but I feel like, again, it's that God component in that God's working through people to come to me, so it's an amazing gift.
Well, and I always say it this way, that, going through, Proverbs and, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge and all these other things like that. But I absorb that as, my fear is being out of position to be in support of someone getting to that next level. And to me, that emotion and that what you experience is it's a thankfulness. It's like, man, it's a lot, but it's like, man, thank you for allowing me to walk in purpose. And that's how I receive it now. Like, because I believe these conversations that I'm having with you and with other leaders who I'm encountering now is because of living an intentional, purposeful life. And that wasn't always a true statement for me. That was, I was the person, I'm super skilled in this area, so I'll do that. I'm super skilled in this area. I'm jack of all trades, master of none. Right? It was a skill I picked up from the Army, and I was just so happened to be good at it. Right?
Hey, man, I've been there too. So.
Yeah, man. And so for us now, leading ourselves well and leading ourselves from a priority standpoint in alignment with His will for our lives is a total way to think about how you live every single day. And I think what you do for yourself, and if I'm hearing it, you basically free yourself up to just experience being in this space. And I believe that's what makes you available and your heart available to have these interactions in a very authentic way. And so I want people to understand how can they support you? Where can they find you, and all that?
Yeah, so I'm on, 3 main social media channels. I
Mm-hmm.
have a, presence on LinkedIn, on
Yep.
Facebook, on Instagram. Sometimes it's the same content, but my message varies. All of that content is driven to my webpage, which is smileprojectlouisville.com. So if anyone went there, they would see a little bit more in depth, because, a lot of previous news stories that were done locally. And there's ways there, in some form or fashion, to get involved. And that is the simplicity of, as we have continued to grow, not only allowing the opportunity to touch lives in Louisville, but to touch them outside of Louisville. They can go in there, get involved, and choose to nominate somebody. And nominate means, and that's kind of where I went, where I had a moment last July, and I hadn't really done a random, I say I hadn't done it. I mean, I probably did a couple, but I didn't video them. I got on a bed and I was like, if we're trying to make people smile, why are we not introducing, kindness into it? And that's where a lot of that came about. So then after I did a lot of them intentionally to start, then people were inspired and moved to go, hey, would you go bless this life? And this is the story behind what they're going through.
Nice.
So people can get involved that way by sharing what someone else is going through. And we find even still today, creative ways to still make people smile. Look, it's also just the simplicity of sharing the message. If in some way, shape, or form, you've been touched by something you've seen, something you've heard, and you have a platform regardless of size.
Yeah.
Then, hopefully your heart's touched enough to share the message, to be a part of, what we're trying to do. There's probably no greater example of love in which someone comes to me and goes, I started doing what you're doing here. It happened to be a teacher in North Carolina in a very small school district. And she reached out to me one day. She goes, I feel what you feel now. She goes, we're not videoing these, but yet we started giving away balloons and doing random acts of kindness in our school district. I understand what you feel now. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's what, and locally, of course, ideas that I had was that to get more people involved was to do bigger events. And when I say bigger events, was taking people with me so they could be in the moment. Yeah. It's kind of, different. Look, you can watch a phenomenal game on TV, but good Lord, if you're sitting courtside, it is a different level of emotion, as far as what you feel. Your skin may tingle because you saw MJ hit the shot over Elo, but you were courtside, not sitting at home on your couch.
Exactly.
So I wanted, to think about getting people involved locally in small groups to inspire them to create change too. And that's really what it's all about. And I think where it finally hit me is I did a radio show earlier this year here locally. And it dawned on me, like, a lot of times people don't do the work and don't become the leader that they can be because they don't think one person can make a difference. Yeah. And man, I am here to tell you, I am that one dude. I am the dude that chose to do the work.
That's awesome.
It's the level of difference is sometimes hard to understand. You know?
I think it goes to I have an author that I love, Kyle Idleman, and his book.
So for what it's worth, Kyle Idleman, is a local preacher in Louisville, Kentucky.
No, he's not.
He is the lead pastor at Southeast Christian Church.
Nice.
So nice. I'm born and raised Catholic, but I believe in listening to all the word. And I've been over there probably 25, 30 times over the years. Nice. And I tell you what, anytime I go over there where he's giving a series and I hear him, I'm like, God, you put me over here today. Yep. I mean, yes. So he is an amazing human being.
Yeah. So his book, Not a Fan.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I actually started that book series in a men's group in Afghanistan. And it was my last deployment. And, the part about, are you a follower or a fan? And that was just your description about, are you the enthusiastic admirer? Are you the person who is trying, you're at that ground level, you're getting in the game, you're getting dirty and all the rest of that. And for me, it always comes around to, am I being a follower or am I being a fan? And going after it in that way, because I never want to be considered an enthusiastic admirer. Like it is just something about like, man, nope, I'm not in the bleachers. I got to get in the game. I got to get in the game. So, so I appreciate you, man, for modeling what true in the game leadership looks like, and just doing it your way, in the way that you believe God has given it to you. And so thank you for everybody out there. Find Michael Ray, find the Smile Project, and figure out how you can connect with him. Don't just like his pictures, his videos, comment, interact, because he will interact right back. And so I just appreciate the gift that you are to the world. And again, man, keep crushing it. And again, thank you for sharing your message, man.
Much love, my friend. Much love. Thanks for having me.